while consumers are still reeling under the pressure of the rising cost of living and really looking to save the little that they can, and buying a new vehicle is one of those where consumers are really taking their time before purchasing a vehicle or upgrading. And to talk us through some of those affordability issues, I am now joined by Lebogang Gaokwetsi, who is with Wesbank, Head of Marketing. Thank you so much for talking to us. Now, we are at SA Auto Week, covering all things that affect the industry. One of those is obviously around affordability issues for consumers. Talk us through, as a bank, what are some of the trends that you are seeing when it comes to South African consumers purchasing vehicles?
Yeah. No, thanks, Ntokozo. Of course, with where the economy is, there's no guessing saying that, we're all living in a very constrained sort of macroeconomy, and people think twice in as far as costs are concerned. And we're seeing that trend in the automotive industry as well, with trade down. So people are moving away from their high-end luxury vehicles to entry-level cars for many reasons, affordability being the chief of those reasons. But also, if you think about it, people are now working from home. They're asking the question, do we really need those two cars if one of them is parked at home half of the time and I'm working at home? Or do we need something just to get by? So we are seeing those trends quite important. So the emphasis really is on educating our customers around the total cost of ownership, because it's not just about that installment. You factor in petrol costs. We all know what happens to the petrol now and again. I mean, it went up last week Wednesday. There's the interest rates that have been really unkind to most of us. And of course, the added services, things like insurance and maintenance and warranties that help you run this car. So over and above the installment, we are trying to educate that be considerate and be considerable of other moving costs, because when those change, they have a huge impact on what it costs to run a car.
Certainly. And just talk us through then the trends that you're seeing as a bank, as consumers, continue to struggle, try to meet those costs and so on a monthly basis. How are they navigating that space right now? As you're saying, you are educating them on how to work around that.
Look, we are also quite flexible. One of the things that we are seeing from a trend point of view, people are keeping their cars much longer, so they're not turning them in as they did previously, which then means that they get into the cycle much later because of affordability. People are thinking twice, before jumping into the next car. But what is really, really prevalent in our industry right now, there's an excess point of, Asian brands that are coming through that are more affordable, if I can put it that way, from a pricing point of view. And then secondly, they offer all the, the tech. They've got the navigation systems, they are Bluetooth, they've got the steering wheels, blows and whistles, but at an accessible pricing point, which then makes it easier for consumers to move from what is historically very expensive sort of German cars right through to these new ones. So they're creating an access point for where a South African consumer is at this moment. And then the third thing that is quite important, repossessions. We are flexible when it comes to repossessions. We are seeing that more of our consumers are having conversations with us to make things easier, to make things more affordable, because people are really in the business of keeping their cars. South Africans love their cars, and we are there to help them, because between you and me, we don't take any joy when we repossess a customer's car. It's a nasty process which we try to avoid. So we are also lengthening the process before we actually repossess someone's cars to make it more helpful.
So important really for consumers to speak to their bank when they're facing any challenges. And just quickly, you do cover, or service both consumers and the industry. As a bank then, how do you play that balancing act? Because obviously the automotive industry also needs to see some profits of cars getting off the floor, but while also safeguarding the interest of consumers. It's a tough balancing act.
It is a tough balancing act, and as such, it forces us to be more innovative in terms of what we offer from a products and services point of view. We are looking at different ownership models. GFV is really coming up quite a lot lately, where you can own a car for a certain period of time, and when it gets to a certain mileage, if you've of course kept the terms and conditions, you can turn it in for another one. makes it affordable, makes it more accessible. Again, it speaks to where the consumer is at this point in time. When it comes to fleet management as well, there are different products that are suited for different types of businesses across the value chain to make it more palatable for the consumers, because we are in the business of moving people and we want people to be in those wheels. So I think really the solution right now is innovation around different products and services and how people access them. I mean, we've got trusted virtual dealership, literally a dealership at the palm of your hand, where you can access a whole lot of cars that you won't be exposed to when you go to a sort of a physical dealership. We've got Fast App where you can check affordability quickly, because consumers want solutions here now today. Lance Nike, in one of the sort of conversations or discussions that were happening earlier, spoke about the fact that as a consumer, I really don't care about a billboard, I don't care about an ad, I want my solution and I want it now. And getting a vehicle, the consideration set for getting a vehicle is far wider than when you go buy a loaf of bread, for instance. So we have to access the consumer with the right information at the right moment and give them the solution that they need.
Lebohang, thank you so much. Hopefully consumers were listening to that piece of advice, and of course that is Lebohang Khayoketse, who is the head of marketing and communications with Wesbank, just talking us through some of those affordability issues that consumers are facing when it comes to maintaining their car or thinking about purchasing a new vehicle. And as always, saying that the golden rule there is to always communicate with your bank if you are facing struggles, so that you can keep your vehicle and restructure that financing. For Newzroom Afrika on channel 405, I'm Ntokozo Khumalo in Midrand, Johannesburg.